Did you know ASBN, America's Small Business Network, is now available on your TV? That's right. ASBN is now streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire Stick, and available for download in the App Store. Scan the QR code to download the ASBN app today. Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.
Imagine a business world where reality and the future seamlessly blend. Today, we're exploring this metaverse for businesses. Joining us now is Ian Khan, CEO of Futuracy. He's also a tech futurist, an author, and keynote speaker. Ian wrote the book Metaverse for Dummies, which I highly recommend that you get. And he's a contributor to many publications, including Forbes and Entrepreneur Magazine. Thanks so much for joining us, Ian.
It's my pleasure, and it's never a more exciting time than today to have a conversation about how emerging technology can change our life, and it's a pleasure to be speaking with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here with us. And so listen, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and your story and how you became a tech futurist.
So, as a child, I've always believed in simplifying things since the beginning I can remember. And I used to do that in school. I used to do that during my university and my education, and I continued to do that throughout my career. And that thing was somehow inbred in me that, I have to be able to simplify complexity of whatever kind. I became an engineer in my career, worked through the ranks, worked through different ecosystems of technology, and was always interested in where technology is going, how it's shaping our world. I mean, my role, my job is to simplify complexity around technology and of technological nature for people, audiences, readers, and people that I connect with to understand what that means and how it can impact their lives and businesses.
That's fantastic. So switching gears a little bit, and for those that are out there, define for us, if you would, in your own words, what metaverse means.
So the metaverse is an amazing term that was coined by an author in one of his novels a few years ago. And at that time, it didn't catch on as much as it did last couple of years. And one of the reasons for that is that the term became coined much more as to this virtual world, virtualized world, not imaginary, but digitally created world. And if you can think of a video game, if you've ever seen a video game and how it looks inside, literally and essentially a world created that looks like a video game. Yeah. And many providers and creators of video games and other technologies came together and designed these worlds on their platforms and technologies and called them all different things, right? And collectively, these virtual worlds are called the metaverse. And it's just a term that got to be used. But another word for a metaverse could be a virtual world or augmented world or one of these things.
Okay. So what potential impact do you see the metaverse having on businesses in the near future?
So the metaverse is like any other medium of engagement, medium of communication and connecting with others. 200 years ago, probably when somebody had to sell something, they took it outside in the marketplace, shouted out loudly so that people could hear them, and, they would get customers, right? Today, we've got radio, television, internet, podcasts, advertising on our phones, advertising on screens, in buses, transportation, it's everywhere. And so if you fast forward between this early time and the current times, there's been a rapid shift in how we communicate our value. We communicate the value of our products and solutions to the world outside, or maybe even how we meet people, how we conduct meetings, how we define our world in terms of communication and engagement. The metaverse is very similar, and it's an extension of that. It's the next step from going from a Zoom conference or a virtual conference, a video conference, to wearing a specialized set of hardware or virtual reality glasses and immersing yourself in a world that's three-dimensional, that has different aspects to it, where you can actually touch objects, feel objects, which we cannot do on a television screen or a computer screen. And that literally is the future of communications. And I'm not saying this is the only future of the communication, but it's one subset of the future of communications in terms of some people may find it interesting to communicate with others in that way, reach out to others in that way, and engage with others in that way. And that's literally the application of the metaverse. It's not something for everybody, but it's something for some people who are used to that virtual world, for a gaming community, a strong gaming community that's growing right now worldwide, and kids and younger generations who have grown up with the tablet in their hand right from their childhood and cell phone in their hand, watching entertainment. And this is a natural progression for them.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but through COVID, when everyone is on, Zoom calls and such, did this kind of heighten the awareness of people out there that said, how much more can we do, over the airwaves versus having to be right there, right?
Absolutely. And I believe it was during mid-COVID time that, one of the most popular social media platforms, Facebook, changed its focus, changed its messaging, and said, hey, we're going to be called Meta from now on, and Meta and Metaverse, that we're going to be all about the Metaverse because we want to build the future of communications. Now, I give them due credit because that's how innovators think. That's how progressive companies think. If Microsoft, Google, Tencent, Alibaba, Facebook, and all these companies and leaders wouldn't have thought about progressive things, we wouldn't have made progress, right? But progress and innovation comes at a cost. It needs to be tested. It needs to be adapted, accepted by people. And so during the pandemic, Facebook's move made it quite apparent that the metaverse could be important. And because we were all home and companies had moved into a remote work situation, everybody started looking into this direction more and said, hey, maybe this could be interesting for our employees to use. And definitely within that time, that year and a half, 2 years, the metaverse was one of the most searched terms on the internet, really popular, a buzzword, a hype. That has subsided a little bit from the hype, but the applications are continuing to grow because the gaming industry is growing, virtual connectivity is still growing, and so the industry is still alive. It hasn't died at all, but the mode and the focus has changed a little bit.
Sure. So for entrepreneurs looking to embrace the metaverse, what initial steps would you recommend to begin this journey effectively?
So it's all written in my book, The Metaverse for Dummies, a quick shameless plug. Now, if you don't have the book, that's fine. You don't need it. But hear me out. Here are 3 things that entrepreneurs should do, business owners should do in order to understand whether the metaverse is good for their business or not. And number 1 rule is to find out and ask yourself, is your customer using the metaverse, right? Is your target demographic on the metaverse, and what are they doing there? So maybe as a business owner, you have a product or a solution or a technology or an item that you're trying to sell, and it's meant for an age group that is a gamer age group that falls within the age where metaverse users are prevalent, and regional demographics add to that, and so on and so forth. And it might be a perfect fit for you to somehow reach out to those people, those gamers, that community, to advertise in front of them, to bring your product in front of them, to somehow get their attention, something which we're doing through television advertising or online advertising, social media. They're all forms of shouting for attention. And you can do something similar within the metaverse, and there's ways of doing that in the metaverse. And so that would be number 1. If that is a demographic you're trying to reach, then the metaverse could be something for you to look at. Number two is to find out, what is it going to take you, right? Is it going to cost you a lot of money? Do you have the budget to engage with people in the metaverse? Do you have the resources, the staff, the time, energy, effort in order to put those resources on the metaverse? Because it's not just about putting a virtual reality glasses headset on and then magic will happen. It's not. It's about putting focused effort into that strategy and establishing the metaverse as a communication and engagement channel for your business. So as a business, let's say you're advertising on radio, television, internet, and social media. This could be one more add-on to your business, and you have to evaluate the costs and the returns. And that's very important.
Right.
Last but not least is really the uniqueness of your product, the uniqueness and the applicability of your product, whether it's a digital product, it's a physical product, because selling a physical product in a digital space is very different. Although when you talk about touch points and being able to create a touch point online and then taking that conversation offline is something very relevant that can be done. Car companies are doing that. They're touching, their customers' first touch point is in the metaverse, but then they're taking that conversation, taking them outside and getting them out of there and selling them a car, a physical car.
That's right.
So those are three things that I think businesses should think about, but also business leaders should keep their eyes and ears open as the times dictate. Business owners need to know everything about whatever they can learn,
Sure.
because times are changing really fast. So it's really important to keep your eyes and ears open to see what is happening next and is it relevant for your businesses.
Sure. In the early to mid 90s, there were a number of business owners that said, I don't know if I need a website. What do I really need a website for? Who has a computer? I'm not really selling things over this, this thing called the internet. So I'm not so sure I need that. And of course, today, you wouldn't even think about opening up a company or starting a company without first thinking about what's the URL I'm going to have, and also how fast can I get my website up, right? And
exactly.
Do you see this as kind of the same, taking that same trajectory over time, where this is going to be something that we're going to really have to focus on? Is the metaverse, if we're thinking about being in business for any longer than a week?
So a metaverse that's a really great question. The metaverse, in a simpler way, is all about virtual reality and this evolving area within technology where virtual reality is about the gaming industry. If you're playing a video game, Fortnite, Roblox, one of these games,
right,
you are immersed in virtual reality.
Right.
Now, virtual reality also now has applications in healthcare. It has applications in construction industry, education industry. So it's not just the metaverse that's connected to virtual reality. What is going to happen is that our usage of virtual reality, extended reality, augmented reality technologies is going to grow, as is with every technology and every technology adoption. And there are many theories and graphs and charts around it out there, lots of data. As this evolution grows, you have the early adopters, you've got the majority, you've got the laggards. There's always these sets of people that adopt technology, take time, but the whole point is around now, how big of a revolution will this become? Will everybody in the world adopt virtual reality? Will everybody in the world want to do it? And a great answer to that is that it really depends on the next generation, because that's the generation that's coming up that's so used to these technologies that it's natural to them to just want virtual reality or to have a headset on where they do their everyday tasks, their productivity, their work, their jobs, or study. So I really believe, the adoption curve might be slower. In technology infrastructure has a lot to do with it. For example, your internet connection. You absolutely need broadband connection in order to have a seamless experience, and so on and so forth. I am confident that there will be a good number of people using virtual reality in the future, and the technology adoption curve will be different. Maybe it's a little bit lower than the internet because that's a much bigger thing. But quite definitely we are headed that way.
So I think businesses would be well served if they get more involved in this and really learn more about it. I say pick up the book, which we're showing right here on the screen right now. That is a great place to start. I'm a metaverse dummy myself, so I'm going to read the book. So
it's a great read. It's a very clear explanation of anything and everything you would want to know about the metaverse.